Nowhere on Earth is warming as fast as where we are in Svalbard, and it's having far-reaching impacts here on the local community and also impacting us closer to home. Join me later as I'll be finding out their warning for the rest of the world. It's amazing and it's breathtaking and it's also devastating all at the same time. You know that I love the weather, you know that I love talking about and communicating climate change to our audiences, and it's something that I read about often. But we wanted to come here and see it and witness it firsthand. And it's only when you see it before your eyes you understand how dramatically it's changing and how huge the emergency really is. Yes, we are here in Svalbard, and it's halfway between Norway and the North. Temperatures have changed, and in the last 50 years they've exclusively told us to present day that the winter temperatures have risen by 7.7 degrees Celsius and their summer temperatures have risen by 2.5 degrees Celsius. And that means right here in Svalbard it is warming more than anywhere else on planet Earth, over 5 times faster than anywhere else. And the impacts are far-reaching, and they affect the industry, they affect the economy, they affect the wildlife, the biodiversity, and also the very rapidly changing landscapes. We've come to a glacier first thing this morning. It's the Longyear Glacier, and we've been brought by one of my favourite people on Earth, changing face of climate change here for the last 30 years and how dramatically it is. We'll be showing you later on how much this glacier has retreated, but also telling you why it matters to the UK. We are 2,000 miles away, but what happens here in the Arctic drives our weather. It drives the jet stream, the difference between the cold in the north and the warm in the south. The more this warms, the more we're set to see more extreme weather in the UK. So I'll be telling you much more about that as we head through the morning, Charlotte.
Laura.
Good morning. Yes, we have come to Svalbard to look at the impacts of climate change, because here Svalbard is warming faster than anywhere else on Earth. And I've come to the Longyear Glacier. Like I said, we hiked about an hour and a half to get here first thing this morning. Now, as Earth warms, ice is melting, and it's melting rapidly. Long-term decline of glaciers. At the moment, glaciers at their lowest extent that they've been on Earth for 2,000 years. But we had a guide here. We came on Friday to hike to this glacier, and it's retreated in my lifetime, in the last 40 years, by over half a kilometre, so 500 metres. And all of this ice heads its way into the oceans, and this contributes to sea level rise. And if all of the glaciers on Earth melted, that would contribute to half a metre of sea level rise here in the UK and places. Amazing people to find out more as well. But let's get on with the weather for the next few days. Now, here in Svalbard, we had a sprinkle of snow overnight, temperatures hovering just around about freezing. But here we have this wind called katabatic wind, katabatic drainage. When air comes from up high and it sinks down low, cold air floods down. So let me tell you, it is freezing here this morning. But weather-wise in the UK, it is looking very changeable for the week ahead. Low pressure close by to the southwest, high pressure trying to move in as well. But at the moment for today, it's looking largely cloudy for southern areas, dry and bright further north, but there is rain on the way. So first thing this morning with clear skies in the north, it's actually a chilly start. Temperatures starting at just 2 degrees, but further south with cloudy skies, we're starting at 15 or 16 degrees. Now, as we head through the morning, we're set to see thicker cloud moving in through Wales and southwest England. That will march its way eastwards through the Midlands into more eastern areas later on today. So temperatures perhaps not quite as high as they were yesterday. We're talking mid to high teens for the most part, perhaps just low 20s for southeastern areas. And as we head through this evening and overnight tonight, that whole band of rain continues to journey its way northwards, turning heavier as it does so. Clearer skies for Scotland and Northern Ireland, where again it'll be a chilly night tonight, largely mild tonight for England and Wales. But Tuesday looks wet for England and Wales. We actually could have a warning from the Met Office. 50 millimetres of rain is possible, but Scotland and Northern Ireland looking drier and brighter. Midweek, high pressure winds out, the weather fronts clear away. So Wednesday and Thursday looking drier and brighter, temperatures into the low 20s. Friday though, wet and windy weather looks set to return, and Friday lots of question marks about the forecast. And there's reports in the paper there's a heat wave on the way. There's not, but temperatures will return into the low to mid 20s. Nowhere on Earth is warming as fast as where we are in Svalbard. It's having dramatic changes on the landscape, people here, and also affecting us at home.
Someone had forgotten your wardrobe, you'd be in trouble this morning. But you're there in the Arctic for us, and this is...
It is, and this is where we wanted to come here, to see it firsthand. You can read about it, you can talk about it. but to see it firsthand is so important, and that's how you see how dramatically it's changing. And like you said, the canary in the coal mine, this place, what's happening here, is a warning for the rest of the world of what is to come, or what could be our future if we don't start to mitigate the impacts of climate change. So we've been here since Friday, we've been having guides to different places. But the big thing is that here in Svalbard is warming more than anywhere else on planet Earth, more than 7 degrees Celsius. And like I said, it's not just the landscape that's changing, it's people's way of life. It's the tourism that they can't do because there isn't the ice and there aren't the glaciers that they used to be able to go out on. They're having to completely change the way that they've been doing things. Everyone here is just so nice. And I feel really sad for them that this is happening, because they are trying their hardest to mitigate this. You know, they've closed the coal mines, they've done so much, but what we've done already, what we've committed to, even if we stopped emitting everything tomorrow, it's not going to stop. We are committed to these glaciers retreating, we are committed to the sea ice melting, we are committed to more sea level rise. But if we don't stop it soon, it's just going to get worse.
And the bears, because they are coming on land and looking for meat. You represent breakfast.
Allowed to leave the complex lands, so lots of them get stranded. Another big problem we have is with more rainfall here, the more rain they have, it then lands on the cold surfaces and turns to ice. And it means that the reindeer aren't able to break through with their hooves to eat. So there is a big decline in the reindeer population as well. Everything you can think of is impacted here. And later on, we'll be speaking to Kim from the Norwegian Polar Institute, who knows so much and has seen it firsthand and how devastating it is. And yeah, he's going to be fascinating.
I read to my...
Yeah, you're right. And that is what scientists are now saying. They didn't used to use such bigger phrases, but it's now undeniable. The recent climate report came out and they used the word unprecedented 6 times. The last report they used it once, and the other 5 reports they've never used it. But you talk about the rain in Greenland. The rain was on the summit. There was no rain gauge. There was nothing to gather or measure the rain because it's never supposed to rain there. And this is where we are. We are having events that have never happened before, events that are never meant to happen. The torrential rain and flooding, like Susanna mentioned, in Germany, with the highest rainfall they've seen. We had the heavy rainfall in China with the highest 1-hour rainfall total. The next week we had New York with the highest 1-hour rainfall. And in Tennessee, they had their highest rainfall total. We had the highest temperature ever recorded in Canada, which is higher than it's ever been in Las Vegas. We've had the wildfires and the highest temperature Europe's ever seen. This is just this summer, and it's record that are being smashed. And you just have to join the dots, and it's very obvious it's climate change. And also, it's not just that the climate is changing, we as humans are doing this by pumping carbon dioxide and emissions into the atmosphere. I would take the £10,000, Andy, every month.
Really? Okay, so Laura...
Good morning. Yes, it is cold here where we are this morning in Svalbard. We are halfway between Norway and the North Pole, but the spirit of the people here has warmed our hearts. We'll be finding out more about the impacts of climate change here from the Longyear Glacier. But now on to the UK weather, which is obviously significantly warmer than where we are right now. At the moment, really, the outlook for this week is looking very mixed. Pretty much every day the weather will change. But first thing this morning, a divided outlook with cloudy skies further south, but brighter conditions further north. So first thing this morning with the clear or cloud makes a massive difference to our temperatures, starting at just 2 or 3 degrees in the north, but a mild of 14 or 15 degrees already in the south. Now, as we head through the day, it's largely dry and fine with some sunny spells for Scotland and Northern Ireland. England and Wales, brighter skies in the east before we quickly see skies clouding over in the southwest. So through southwest England, across Wales, outbreaks of rain, that marches its way eastwards. And temperatures today under the cloud, maybe 16 to 18, 21 across the south and east. Tomorrow, the outlook fine in the north, cloudy, wet in the south, potentially warnings from the Met Office for heavy rain. The temperature here this morning is probably just below freezing, but it's the fact that it doesn't really ever get much above freezing. And when you're standing on a glacier like we are this morning, the Longyear Glacier in Svalbard, the winds drain down the hill, so it's called katabatic drainage. So the chill makes it feel much, much colder than that. This is the thing that is crazy. Hopefully we've got some drone footage. The glacier we are standing on, the Longyear Glacier, we had a guide bring us here. He arrived in 1980 as a coal miner. I was born in 1981. So pretty much from the year I was born. Behind me, if you can see the very light sort of brown at the bottom and then the dark, and that's happening for glaciers all around the world. You can slice 24 meters off the top of an average glacier. It's the lowest extent for glaciers in 2,000 years, and this all goes to dead carcasses. It holds unrotted vegetation, and as it thaws, it releases methane into the atmosphere, which is significantly more potent than carbon dioxide, and it's a feedback. So the more it melts, the more it warms, and the more it melts, and this is happening all around the world. 1 billion people on Earth live in mountainous regions, and they rely on this water. All the water we've been drinking here is from glaciers, and if we lose the glaciers, it means people around the world won't have water to drink. So the impacts are just so far-reaching and so far and wide. And also one thing that's really important about the Arctic, it drives our weather. The warmer it gets here, the more dramatic our weather is set to be.
All right, Laura, well, your main report.
You're watching Good Morning Britain on ITV.
We have seen incredible before and after images of how glaciers have retreated due to the rising temperature. But right here in the distance, half a kilometre that way, was where the glacier that we are now standing on was. So when I was born in 1981, this glacier was half a kilometre that way. But it's not only that, it would have been around about 10 meters above my head. So this entire volume has been completely lost in just my lifetime. And I'll be finding out a little bit later on how this landscape could look if I were to visit here with my Charlotte in the same time scale. And it's going to be dramatic. But the landscape here is jagged. There's beautiful mountains, there's glaciers, there's fjords, there's polar bears, there's reindeers. But the impacts of climate change are having far-reaching impact. The glacier retreat globally is at its lowest extent in 2,000 years, and this is having not just far-reaching impacts in high mountainous regions, it's affecting everybody around the world too. I came here to the Arne Christoffersen here the year before I was born, and showed me just how much it's changed in this short time.
Here we
Under the glacier here.
Yeah, so the ice cap of the longer glacier behind me, it reached roughly 50 meters in front of us now, and some meter higher.
Since our arrival here by the amazing Kim Holman from the Norwegian Polar Institute, who is one of the most impressive. Having more from Kim tomorrow as he continues us on our journey. And the really devastating thing is here that the people in the Arctic are hardly producing any emissions compared to the rest of the world, yet they are the ones who are feeling it the most. I join you this morning from Svalbard. We're halfway between Norway and the North Pole, reporting on the impacts of climate change here. I'll be bringing you more on that later, but can I just say last week I was packing when it was 30 degrees and it felt bizarre. And now I'm here, delivering the forecast I'm about to. It feels like we're just worlds away. But the weather for the UK for this week is really, really changeable. The Atlantic is continuing to stream in from the west, and it brings with it cloud and rain, brief respite before we see more wet and windy weather by the end of the week. But for this morning, it's actually a divided outlook across the UK. Cloudier skies further south, clearer conditions further north. So first thing this morning with clear skies, it makes a huge difference this time of year with the clear or cloudy how our starting temperatures are. So just 2 or 3 degrees for some northern areas, but a mild 14 or 15 further south. As we head through the day, Scotland and Northern Ireland, a good looking day for you, some decent spells of sunshine and dry. Fine for eastern areas of England, but from the west for Wales and southwest England, turning increasingly cloudy with outbreaks of rain. Top temperatures with the best of any brightness, 21 degrees. Welcome back to Good Morning Britain. You join me live in Svalbard. I'm halfway between Norway and the North Pole. We've come here to report about the impacts of climate change, but I'll come to that in a second. Let's start with the UK weather. The week ahead is looking very changeable and unsettled. No 2 days will be the same. Today we start off with a divided outlook. Clear and chilly first thing for Scotland and Northern Ireland, but it's set to be a good looking day ahead with lots of fine dry weather and some decent spells of sunshine. For England and Wales, a cloudier outlook, brightest skies in the east, cloudiest in the west, and it turns wetter and windier for southwestern areas later with top temperatures of 21 degrees, and it's set to be even wetter through southern areas as we head through tomorrow. But for where we are this morning, we've come here because the Arctic is warming 2 to 3 times faster than the rest of the global average. But right here in Svalbard, it is warming more than anywhere else on Earth, over 5 times faster. And the impacts are huge and dramatic in a very short space of time. Since I was born, I'm on a glacier. Now, as far away as you can see in the distance for that ridgeway, and that is how far this glacier has retreated in the time that I have been born. But if you follow the shadow line, pretty much where it's sun and cloud, that is one of the main drivers of the UK weather, which is why what's happening here is so important. I just want to say, what we're doing here is a really important piece of journalism. As some people have said, why have you flown here? This isn't good for climate change. It is so important that you see the reality. This will make a much bigger impact on our environment to make the change. And I'm here because it's so important for me to show Charlotte the reality of how this landscape will change. And I want to be able to tell her that I did everything I could and that we did everything we could to make this world stay the same and not to change as dramatically. We're having much more tomorrow, so I'll see you then.
Laura